I'm live. Howdy, howdy, howdy. Welcome to not just any old Cliff Notes Live. Welcome to the last Cliff Notes Live of 2024. Yes, indeed. By next time I talk to you, unless we do something crazy, it's going to be 2020, unless it's Groundhog Day or something. We'll see. Groundhog, but no, we're coming right up on 2025. I hope y'all are ready. Man, we just blew right through Thanksgiving, blew through Christmas. Now we got New Year's coming up. I'm ready for 2025. How about y'all? We're going to talk about that a little bit this evening. New Year's plans, what y'all did for Christmas, anything else that y'all got ideas to talk on. We'll cover it all this evening. Before we do that, though, let me start off with a big old SKD 143. I love my wife. I love my kids. Love reality TV. And I love all you guys that come out here live and on replay as well. Don't want to forget about you guys either. Appreciate that we're a cool online happy family that gets to come out here once a week and do all these kind of things. So thank you for that. All right, if you haven't already done so, there may be a few new. We got people that aren't working this week that are been on holiday and all that. So if we got a few new viewers, if you haven't already considered, please consider a subscribing to my channel, turning on notifications. We've got a few new reality shows coming up, but we'll see what happens as we go forward as far as if we do extra videos, things like that. But please consider subscribing, turning on notifications, hitting the old thumbs up. I've been told that's a pretty cool thing. Y'all know I like the thumbs up, right? And it doesn't just have to do with YouTube. But anyway, let me take a little tangent thing and I'll come back to it. I noticed someone pointed out that every picture I'm in, all the family pictures we took over the weekend, I always do a thumbs up. That's just my thing. I can't physically keep my hands at my side when I take pictures for the most part. So it's me, I suppose. All right. But anyway, please consider subscribing, turning on notification, and hitting thumbs up. It's always appreciated. With that, I want to go out and see who is out here on this New Year's Eve. I think that's it, right? New Year's Eve. Yeah, tomorrow night's New Year's Eve. So we're getting close. All right. Brian Hassel, Brian, welcome yet again. First one in. I hope you were doing fantastic. Hope you had a great Christmas as well. Lee Strax out there. Hey, Lee, how are you? Patricia Miller, Kennedy Franken. Oh, I love hearing all these names. I hope you guys are doing fantastic. Marilyn Sutherland, Karen Loveland. Let's see, Carol Mosier, Patty. Let's see, Carol, tomorrow's my birthday. I'll be 69 years young. Being born on New Year's Eve, I was my parents' tax deduction for that year. Well, congratulations. On New Year's Eve, you get a celebration every single year, right? That's cool. Happy birthday to you, my friend. All right. Happy birthday, Marilyn, coming up. Let's see who else we got. An eye for horror with Big Jake. Howdy. Patty, Mark Taylor. Let's see who else we've got out here. Terry Thomas as well. Ma, how are you? Good evening. Desiree Watts as well. Colleen, Anna-Wee, Amanda, Angie Hung. Hey, Angie, how are you, my friend? Michelle Moore, Misfire Chas. I love to see all these names out here, guys. Yeah, it just warms my heart. Absolutely does. And I think we'll call about there. Amy Bonner as well, and Lori Kelly. Welcome to all of y'all, and welcome to those who are watching replay as well. Hope y'all have fantastic Christmas. I did. Restful Christmas. You get a lot of family together and all that. Maybe not so much restful Christmas. We did Christmas a little bit differently this year because, especially with my mom passing and all that, it was just a little different. We tried to make sure we still saw the extended family, but we actually celebrated Christmas on Christmas Eve so that my son and his wife and my daughter and her husband could all come over, celebrate Christmas together as a family, which is it's what it's all about, right? So we did that. And then on Christmas Day, they were able to see their families and all. So we kind of share, make sure everyone's got some time. But we had everyone over here on Christmas Day, had a blast. Just a lot of fun, sitting around, opening some presents, eating all kinds of good food. I'm into the food, right? So we got a few stories on that as well. But had Christmas, and then later in the week went up Friday and actually hung out with the extended family, and we'll talk about that a little bit as well. First of all, I want to see if y'all got any questions that we can do, and then I'll come back to a few of the stories themselves. All right, let's see what we've got on here. Let's see. Mark Taylor, what do you think of the challenge? Who steps up and takes the game? All right, let me ask you, Mark. You tell me, because Was there an episode on last week? Because at one point I thought we looked and I didn't see it. And I just assumed that because it's Christmas week, they just didn't show it. I'm saying that because I don't know if I'm a week behind or not. Last I saw, they were into the final, but had not actually made it to the final yet. So tell me if I'm behind. But I'll tell you right now, maybe, I mean, Bananas, just because he's done it so many times, I feel like there's, I don't know. I guess I'm okay if he wins it. But you know who I really would be cheering for, I think, is Derek's kind of a dark horse. And I think I'd be okay with that. But I think really Jordan and maybe Tori, I'd be okay with either one of them winning the challenge this year, just because I know Jordan is a champ. He's a beast, but I just respect everything that he does. He seems like he plays that game with an even keel. He doesn't, yeah, he's there for the competition. He doesn't carry grudges quite the way some of these people do. I always feel like there's some people that are there just for the drama. And hey, if I win some money as well, great. But I want to give good TV. I feel like Jordan's just there to win this thing. That he will bust the chops of anyone who gets in his way. So I'm cheering for Jordan and Tori. And I just because Johnny Bananas was cheering so much against her. And I don't have anything against Johnny. I've met him, incredible guy. But just to be different. So yeah, I'd kind of like to see maybe those two win it. Now that Corey's gone. Corey was my favorite this season. Huge Corey fan, but alas, no more. So maybe those two. Who do you think, Mark? You got a favorite here or there? And again, if I'm off a week, blame it on the Christmas holidays. I've enjoyed the challenge. I think some of y'all know I took a break from a couple of seasons. It just seems like there was too much of it out there. Took a break, came back. I've enjoyed this the eras competition and all that. So yeah, I'm back on the challenge board. All right, let's see. Chaz is saying, what was the best gift you got and the best that you gave? Hope you had a good Christmas. Best I gave, I don't know. I'll let my wife or someone else tell me a few things here or there. But I'll tell you what my best gift was. Came from my wife. Let me just show it to you because I am very proud of it. Y'all know how I like my cowboy wear, right? Well, I got a little extra accessories for Christmas this year in the form of a boot. Yeah, it'll be great on my birthday when I get the other one. And then I'll be set. Right now, I'm just going to have to hop everywhere I go. Now I got a pair of boots. Fantastic. It's hard to tell. You may not be able to tell, but that is Grand Cayman. So it's not alligator, but it's close to it. It's crocodile or something, African crocodile. Grand Cayman skin, dark chocolate. I know y'all can't smell here, but the leather smell on this just makes me think that I'm in a barn somewhere and some cattle drive somewhere. It's got that just brand new leather smell. Square toe boots, toes. I've heard that's a thing. Yeah, I got me a incredible pair of boots. I'd pretty much worn my old ones out. I do a lot of polishing in my shoes. Right before I went into the Big Brother house, I took those boots in and said, hey, can you put a new sole on them? They're getting a little worn thin. And they got them all fixed up for me. I wore them the whole time I was in, well, not the whole time I was in the house. Competition stuff be a little tough. Slip and slide, a little hard with boots on. But I had them while I was in the house, polished them a few times. I wear them daily. So every time I'm out making sales calls and everything else. So I go through boots rather quickly. So yeah, Sharon took care of me. I'm so excited to be wearing these things. We were up in Fort Worth seeing the extended family, as I mentioned, for Christmas. We actually went, spent a little time in the stockyards of Fort Worth. And I really wanted to wear those boots, but it was raining and a little rough out there. And I just didn't want to get them messed up. Those will be my dress boots for a while. I always have a couple of pairs of boots that are just my everyday wear. And then a few more that are, if I got to wear a suit or something like that, I'll wear the fancy boots. So those are going to be my fancy boots. Those are my going to church boots. And yeah, you wear boots to church down here in Texas, and it's perfectly permissible. Don't you dare wear a cowboy hat inside the church, but boots, perfectly fine. So yeah, it was a fun Christmas. Y'all tell me. I've seen some things posted on Instagram, people talking about some people open all their gifts at once. So everyone it's a mad dash opening presents. Other people go around in circles watching each person open up one present, and you all go, ooh, oh, isn't that great? And it takes for a while, but you go around the whole thing. That's what we do in our family. We take a turn, go all the way around, open presents, and we enjoy that. But for some people who don't come from that kind of family, it's probably just seems like it takes forever. And and all that. We've always done it just so you don't rush through everything, especially with kids. If they opened everything all at once, then they'll pick out their toy or two they really like. The rest get put off to the side. This way, it forces you to enjoy it just a little bit longer to try it out. Of course, there's always one person in the family who ends up getting, the first gift I got was socks. The second gift I got was, I don't know, the apple marmalade or so. I don't know. It's purely random. And sometimes you open the fancy one first, sometimes not so much. But yeah, we had fun doing every bit of that. All right. Let's see. Jake. An eye for horror. Jake. I love that login name. Saying Viva la Cliff Notes Live. Hey, I'm all here for it. Absolutely. Glad we were able to do it. Heads up, come the end of January. I've got a business trip. There may be a time where I have to cut off on one trip, but that's it. And we'll be back. So we'll do that. Mark is saying, any New Year's gags in the hog house? Oh, we've done a few gags here and there. Now it's not New Year's yet. It's going to be a different New Year's because Sharon and I would always go out to my mom's house to celebrate. The whole family get together. Well, that's changed. She used to always have confetti-filled balloons. So we'd pop balloons. We'd watch all the New Year's Eve celebrations. And can I just say, nothing against Ryan Seacrest and some of the others. We used to watch Dick Clark all the time. I spend half my time watching the Spanish telenovela, not telenovela, the Univision and some of the Spanish channels because they have a lot of fun on their New Year's Eve. We watch Andy Cohen and what's his face, Anderson Cooper and all. Anyway, we do a lot of that kind of stuff. But the other thing we do at New Year's Eve, we go out and we bang the pots and pans as loud as we can in the neighborhood. No fireworks out, just banging pots and pans. We've done that forever. We did it when the kids were little. They had a blast. As they got older, we just said, yeah, we're gonna keep doing it. Gags that we've done in the past, my favorite of all time. For those of you who are old enough to remember Y2K, everyone just thought that when the clock struck 2000 or whatever, all our computers were going to crash. Everything was going to crash because nothing was set up to handle the year 2000, cause all kinds of issues. So we were all worried about that. At the stroke of midnight, I was out in the garage, flipped the breakers, shut off all the power, and heard everyone inside go, "Oh no, oh, it's Y2K." And after about 15 seconds or so, I heard my mom say, "Where's Cliff?" Cliff! She knew better. I think they knew better when they could look out the windows and see other houses that all still had the lights on. But yeah, for just a few seconds, I had everyone going on. So that was my prank from a few years past. But the one we did so far this year, we as an extended family went and ate at Joe T. Garcia's. Very famous Mexican restaurant in the Stockyards area of Fort Worth. They only serve 2 or 3 selections that you get. Basically, do you want enchiladas or do you want fajitas? And that's about it. And there may have been a few margaritas thrown in as well, but very limited, cash only. We sat outside, such perfect weather. It was great because my brother, my son, myself, we all went wearing the cowboy hats. We sat down at the restaurant. Half the tables have people all wearing their cowboy hats and, just the folks from Fort Worth and all of that. So it fit right in, had a blast doing it. But we did have a few pictures of margaritas while we were waiting there. And some of my younger nephews and nieces, as we got towards the end of the evening, I noticed there were a lot of plastic glasses that already had the salt around the rim coatings that you have with margarita, right? That had all been still there that no one had used because we just kept pouring into the same glasses we had. So I challenged my nieces and nephews to see who could be the fastest to lick all the salt off the rim of one of these glasses. No reward, just pride in being the fastest with that. My niece took one lick and you would have thought that she just had rat poison, just going crazy with it. My nephew, who has to be the winner of everything, starts doing it. You see him drooling and just not enjoying the experience. Finally, my niece, who didn't want to be beat either, just bit the bullet, did the rim, got all that salt off, and then was just screaming and hollering for water and running around her chair, acting like she was in the middle of a desert parch. It was like a Good and Bad and the Ugly. Clint Eastwood out in the middle of nowhere, dying of thirst. That's what she looked like. we had fun watching them trying to challenge each other. So yeah, that was kind of our fun little thing to do. We also had, there's a thing they sell down here in Houston, Carolina Reaper Cheetos. So it's kind of like flaming hot Cheetos, except a whole lot hotter. And so we took some of those and we substituted those in for standard puff Cheetos and handed them around. Half the family who likes spicy stuff said, "Oh, these are fantastic. No problem with these." The other half immediately had meltdowns with the hot temps on their tongues and all that. So yeah, we did a few pranks. I do a lot of pranks with the food and everything every year. So everyone's careful when I'm around the kitchen. But yeah, we had that. Will we do stuff New Year's Eve? I know Sharon better watch out because it may just be Sharon and I here for New Year's Eve. We may be binge watching Squid Game. How about that? Angie had mentioned how great it was. She's already binged it. No spoilers because I've only watched the first episode. I had to kind of get caught up on the first season because it'd been a little while. So we watched the last episode of the first season, the first of the new episodes, and now we're hooked. We'll be watching that again. What classic fare for New Year's Eve, right? To watch Squid Game. We also watched, and I don't know if y'all have seen this, Mr. Beast on YouTube has a deal where he's giving away like $5 million. He started off with, I think, 1,000 contestants, and people just keep getting eliminated in crazy ways. I watched the first couple of episodes. It's actually pretty good. So check it out. That's my little endorsement is don't leave YouTube. Don't leave my channel just yet. But Mr. Beast is out there, has a pretty cool little deal. So again, I love the reality shows, whatever they are, whatever format, from whatever country they are, whoever's doing it. Love my reality TV. So I found another one. Check it out when you get a chance. All right. What else do we have on here? Patty is saying, Patty and Lori are both recovering from health issues. Guys, I'm sorry. My thoughts are with you. It's never fun dealing with that stuff, especially during the holidays. No fun for both of you guys. Chemo and surgery. Guys, I'm sorry. I'm thinking about you, especially over the holiday season. But as I've said before, I think on here, I continually am amazed at what our doctors and our medical folks can do to take care of patients and to make people better in this country. We gripe a lot about their health insurance. There are a lot of things to gripe about, but at the end of the day, it's pretty good health stuff that takes place in this country as well. So I'm forever grateful that I come from the United States and have access to that stuff. And that they aren't still using leeches. Maybe leeches are. I know there's some benefits to those too, but keep me away from the leeches. I'll stick with the more standard fare. But now I'm thinking about both of you guys, and send me some DMs. Let me know how y'all are doing when you get a chance. Because sorry about that, guys. I'm glad that I'm here and maybe to break up the monotony just a little bit. All right, Michelle Moore is saying I'm going to the Harlem Globetrotters game tomorrow. Sweet Georgia Brown, have fun. I went to see the Harlem Globetrotters when I was just a wee lad. I probably wasn't 7, 8 years old. We were amazed. We had more fun. That was Curly and Meadowlark Lemon and some of those guys. They put on quite the show. I always wondered if they're so good as Harlem Globetrotters, why don't they play in the NBA and make the big bucks and everything? Well, they probably may not be as much on the defensive side and all of that. I'm sure there's some deficiencies in their game. Some people are great ball handlers, some are great shooters, and things like that. But I love it. I love the Harlem Globetrotters. They used to be on TV a lot more than they are now. They used to be on Wild World of Sports and some things like that. Howard Cosell would talk about it. He'd act like they were a serious team instead, just there for fun. You know who else is big? I have not gotten a chance to see them yet, but the Savannah Bananas. They're basically the Harlem Globetrotters of baseball. And they do a lot of the same kind of stuff. They dance out in the field and throw silly pitches and have fun with the umpires and things like that. They came down to Houston. They had to have a lottery just to have people get tickets for it. It was such a big deal. So they are a hot item ticket. But yeah, I want to see me some Savannah Bananas. But have fun at the Harlem Globetrotters because, again, I saw them as a little kid and the memories still. I remember they had a bucket we thought was filled with water. They threw it on some kid and it was just glitter confetti. And we just laughed. We thought that was right up there with the Three Stooges. That was highbrow humor. So yeah, we had had a lot of fun. So have a blast at your. Oh, what a great way to spend a New Year's Eve. That's pretty cool. All right, let's see what else we've got on here. Michelle Morrison. Have you seen the Impractical Jokers where Murr's punishment was honking the car horn at a drive-through at White Castle? I've tried to remember. I don't know that I've seen that one, but I can only imagine. I've seen some other ones where those guys, the worst, was it Murr or Q? I think maybe it's Q that was playing. They made him play bingo, and he had to start yelling bingo over and over again when he did not have a bingo. And some of those people were not happy. They're ready to go after him. They were very unhappy. I remember that one. There was one where one of them was on, they were taking a tour at Universal Studios. He kept pulling the emergency brake on the little car that you take, and everyone's yelling at him and getting mad. The worst was where they had to go around kids that were doing paintings with their moms and had to go take a paintbrush and cross out their kids' painting and say it wasn't good enough and break those kids' hearts. Yeah, those, that would be an interesting show to be on. I'd love to do something like that. But it would be, some of those punishments are really extreme. So, yeah, that's a whole nother level of pranking that takes place on there. One of my favorite shows. We talked about that Impractical Jokers a lot while I was inside the Big Brother house. A few of us had seen it. A lot of folks hadn't. And so we just spent a lot of time telling. They're not ever as much fun when you explain them as when you actually watch them, though. Yeah, it seems like that's on True TV 24 hours a day. Go back and see if there's any new episodes. It amazes me. I can watch the same episode 20 times in a row and still laugh at it. All right, let's see. Misfire saying, oh yeah, any Jimmy Carter stories? My dad was an usher at Reagan's funeral, and a relative mistook my dad for a Carter relative, inviting him to sit next to the Clintons. Well, that's pretty cool. In fact, that's not pretty cool. That's really cool. Did he fess up and say, Ian, or did he just go in there and say, hey, cousin, how are you, my friend? That's what I would have done. And how they couldn't kick you out at that point, right? I mean, unless you were taking someone else's seat, but it seems like you're kind of locked in once you get down there. No Jimmy Carter stories. I'm trying to think if don't think I ever met him, had any real exposure to him. I remember when he was president. That was a rough few years of the hostage crisis in Iran. But yeah, no real story. I tell you the closest story that I have to it. My son had a buddy who was on part of the buddy had a buddy that knew a buddy, maybe something like that. Anyway, knew someone who was on a presidential detail for Jimmy Carter. I did not realize that every former president apparently, or maybe it's just Jimmy because of his age, but I think every former president has a detail. And all these guys do is sit around and make sure that they have everything planned in case this president unfortunately passes away unexpectedly, or in some presidents' cases, not so unexpectedly. He was 100 years old, right? But there's someone who's got all the arrangements lined up, someone who's got all the contacts with the press releases ready to go. Kind of morbid, don't you think? If I'm a former president and I know that there's a dozen people that are just sitting in some office somewhere waiting for me to die, I guess I'll just stay alive as long as I can just to spite them. And maybe that's not Jimmy Carter's primary reason for hanging around, but yeah, he certainly put in a few years. 100 years old. I remember he and Rosalind Carter and Amy Carter and Billy Bob Carter. Billy Bob Carter. They had Billy beer, for those of you who are old enough to remember. Some presidential families have a few people that more fit in with the general American public in some ways. Jimmy Carter. He was huge on Habitat for Humanity. I've always applauded him for that. I truly feel like he practiced what he preached in terms of, after being president, he did a lot of things to try to help this country. So applause to Jimmy, and congrats on 100 years. Seems pretty good to me. I'll shoot for 100. Of course, by the time I get to 100, they better have us stretched out for another 20 years or so, the way medicine's going, right? Why is it as you get older, you shrink? Last time I saw pictures, was he posing with maybe Joe Biden? And he looked like he's the size of a large Ken doll. They kind of just get smaller and smaller as you age. The body gets smaller, the ears get bigger. One of these days, I'll be going right through the same thing. So yeah, anyway, but yeah, congrats to Jimmy Carter for all the great things he did with Habitat Humanity and all of that. Yeah, I guess he'll have his funeral coming up and everything else. Big deal. So yeah, we'll see. All right, Kath Ann, hey, Kath, how are you doing? Miss Anthony say, my family wants to wish you and your family a happy and healthy new year. Kathy and family and Nick's mom. Thank you. Right back at y'all. I hope y'all had a fantastic Christmas break, a fantastic New Year's season. Yeah, I hope y'all enjoyed it all. I was thinking about Nicole. Had her happy birthday. I think she turned 30 the day after Christmas. Her first Christmas as a bride, as a wife. So yeah, I bet y'all had a lot of fun up there celebrating Christmas as well. So props and Merry Christmas from the Hog family right back at y'all. All right, let's see. Chaz is saying, Deal or No Deal Island starts. Thank you, Chaz. I always forget about that reality show. Deal or No Deal Island starts soon. Do you think Dr. Will and Poverty will work together or against each other? You know, they're two stars from two different shows. Logically, they would work with each other, right? It would be just like, remember on All Stars, Nicole and Ian were talking to each other saying, look, if we're the only people who won Big Brother in here, if either one of us goes, the other one becomes a prime target. I feel like Dr. Will and Poverty would be the same way, should be the same way. But will their egos allow it? Now, I don't know about Poverty. I've never met her, so I don't really know. Dr. Will, I've only met briefly at the round table during our season and didn't really get to have a conversation with him. But I get a feeling that his ego may make it difficult. And I also feel like he may be in there saying, I'm going to stir stuff up, whether it helps me or not. Maybe not. I mean, but I feel like he may be a little resistant to work with her. She's cutthroat enough that I think she would cut him loose at some point. They're going to be fun to see how those two interact with each other. All right, I'm ready. I forgot all about Deal or No Deal Island. Enjoyed the first season, so I'm ready for the second season. All right, what else do we have going on here? A few stories. We talked about the boots. I said, all right, I've got a thing. I got the boots, had a lot of fun. We had our fancy dinners. We played a new game. One of the things that Sharon got as a gift, some of you I know have heard of. It's the first time we'd ever played, called Code Names. It's not, I guess it's kind of a board game, but you don't really have a board. You've got a lot of cards and teams, and you try to throw out phrases that make people pick certain cards, but not other cards. It was a lot of fun. We had a blast playing. I had 2 teams of 3, had a blast playing Code Names. So that's my first question for y'all this evening. Have you played Code Names before? Do you like it? And what other games do y'all play? Not just over the Christmas, New Year's, but just in general, games that's kind of a family type deal. We hadn't played that before, but I can see that becoming a bit of a family tradition for my kids. We loved it. It was just a lot of fun playing that game. We used to play Risk, and then we kind of ran out, started not having as much time to do it. We were going to play Ticket to Ride, which is another game we love, after we got through at the Mexican restaurant on Saturday. But by the time we got from Fort Worth back to Arlington, where we were staying, a few of the younger kids had fallen asleep, so the parents had to go back home with them. It just didn't happen. But yeah, Ticket to Ride, Code Names, Risk. We always had a lot of fun on New Year's Eve playing different games of that sort. So and made it was always about a challenge. There was always a big winner who, I don't know, they got to they got to pick their pot and pan, or they got to eat some fancy something, and the loser would have to go eat some horrible tasting, garlic cube or something like that. So there are always some incentives to doing well in the games we play on New Year's Eve. Excuse me. All right, let's see. What else do we have? Angie's saying our favorite party game, Code Names. My friend used Vader to get 5 at once. I don't think we had anyone get 5 at once. You try to use phrases that make people pick certain cards and not others. I don't think we ever got 5. We probably got 3. I think we may have gotten 4 once or twice, but it's hard because there's all just the different terms. There'd be like Mercury and screwdriver and Corda library, and just different words that you have to try to find some phrase that links a certain number of them together that are your words. It's cool. All right, one Angie. So we're thinking on the same thought with that. So anyway, we had fun on Christmas doing that. One more story with that, and then we'll talk about after the fact. We had 2 dogs over here. My son and daughter each have a dog in their family. They came over, played together in the backyard at our house. Always fun watching them play, enjoying each other and chasing each other around and all that. We took them for a walk a little bit later during the day. One of them, and I won't say which one, but one of them somehow managed to discover something that had died in the grass. I couldn't even see it. Not a clue. I went and checked later. I don't know what it is, but one of these dogs immediately started rolling in just a spot in the grass. Next thing I know, when we get back in the house, this dog smells like death warmed over and running around the house before we can stop it. And during my season of Big Brother, Tommy Bracco had to wear the rocket hat and run around and say, traveling at the speed of light, traveling at the speed of sound, traveling at the speed of smell. And he had the most smelly smell machine that he had to go into each room with. That was horrific smelling. Some kind of rotten, stinky cheese type thing. This dog smelled every bit of that. And as she went running through the house, people would all turn and say, God, it's hard. What is going on? So we had one dog that got a little extra Christmas bath on that particular day. Fortunately, it wasn't freezing cold out there, but the dog did not enjoy having to get an extra bath at all. They ended up having to throw away the collar. This stuff smelled so bad. I don't know what it is about dogs, but if there's something foul that they can roll in, it seems like they do it. So that was our extra little Christmas experience. Fortunately, the dog didn't rub up against anyone's brand new clothes or anything like that. But yeah, we had a lot of fun. An unexpected prank, I suppose. Dog didn't know any better, but yeah, it caught our attention. We had another little interesting event occur a little bit later. For those of you who don't know, Sharon and I yesterday celebrated our 34th wedding anniversary. Yay! 34 years. I've been married to Sharon. I've been married a whole lot longer in my life than I was single in my life. So yeah, we celebrated our 34th anniversary. We are busy. Sometimes it just travel plans get in the way and all that. We had to be back today. So we said, well, let's do this. Let's stop at the drive-in on the way home. There's one about halfway between Dallas and Houston. Let's stop at the drive-in. We'll get some fancy foods, which in our case was barbecue. But we'll get some fancy foods. We'll sit in the car. We will watch a drive-in movie because as kids, we both our families watched a lot of drive-ins. That's just the way you saw movies back then. So kind of reminiscing and all that. So we stopped, got barbecue sandwiches and some chips, and we had it all planned out. I go into the movie theater. We're going to see Red One with Dwayne Johnson, The Rock, and it seemed like it was a cute little fun movie. So we're going to watch Red One. The guy says, hey, do you know how to get to screen number 8? No, not really. And he said, well, go to the left, take a ride to the snack bar. You're going to see a 2-story building. Yeah. He said, it's on the right of that building. Okay. So I go, I find this building. I see it. I say, okay, well, let's go to the right. I go to the right to there's a screen there. We almost saw Sonic the Hedgehog 3 because we were at the wrong screen. We didn't realize it until right before it started. I drove all over this drive-in theater complex looking for screen number 8 and finally went into the snack bar. And the lady said, oh, no, it's, yeah, I can see how you missed it. But no, when he said on that 2-story building, it's on the right side of the building, she said, he didn't mean the screen that's to the right of the building. She meant that the screen is on the right side of the building. You got to be kidding me. And we drove back and saw the world's tiniest little drive-in movie theater screen. And I just happen to have a picture of it that I'll lean over and let you see. So can you see a 2-story, 10 storage building, whatever, right? A little bitty building. And guess what you see? One little 10-foot by 6-foot or so movie theater screen. And that's it. There are 2 parking spaces to watch this movie. One of them's already taken. So as soon as we show up, it's full occupancy to see Red One on a Sunday night. A couple of picnic tables. For all the kids that want to see this movie. and 2 parking spaces for cars. So we pulled up to it and we were so close that you could see every little imperfection on the screen. The pixelization from the projector was off because the screen was all janky and all of that. So yeah, look at this thing. That is not a drive-in theater. I know people who have bigger screens than that in their backyards and maybe not quite in their house, but pretty close. We said, no, this is not going to work. So I had to actually, we said, you know what, let's just not worry about it. So we went back to the snack bar and said, we got to get our money back. Oh, you got to talk to the front gate. So we went to the front gate, got our money back, and just stayed on the way back home. So our wedding anniversary plans, we're going to do more stuff. We're going to go have a fancy dinner and do some things a little bit later. But the night of our plans, it's going to be a nice romantic, have the fine spread and all that and watch a movie. Yeah, it didn't work out, but we've got quite the story to tell. From this point for the rest of my life, whenever anyone mentions this particular drive-in movie, I'm going to say, avoid screen number 8, avoid screen number 9. And it's not like we are watching some 1970s art film that only 2 cars are going to go to. This is The Rock, and it's a fairly recent movie. You would think there'd be more than 2 cars that wanted to see that thing. I imagine the people in the other car that were already there probably are like, oh my gosh, we get this whole theater to ourselves, small as it is. And then we show up and they're like, really? You gotta be kidding me. But I don't know if the third car showed up, you had to go sit in the car with, make new friends, I suppose. That would have been interesting. But yeah, obviously a little disappointed in the screen offerings at our drive-in, but we laughed about it all the way home. It's a story we'll remember. All right, let's see. Let's talk. If we're talking about honeymoon, if we're talking about weddings and all of that, I was going to mention to y'all that 34 years ago yesterday, well, actually 35 years ago today, I guess, on our wedding day, we stayed in Houston, and the next morning we were supposed to fly to Cabo San Lucas for our honeymoon, right? Cabo would be fun. It was before Cabo was really even developed. It was brand new, and we thought that would be so much fun. Cabo Wabo, owned by Van Halen, had just opened, so it was kind of looking like it could be a trendy place and all. So we said, all right, let's go to Cabo San Lucas. We had our flights arranged. The day before our wedding, they contacted us and say, well, unfortunately, the airline canceled your direct flight from Houston to Cabo San Lucas. And so we're not going to be able to get you there, but we will be able to get you there. It's not going to be a direct flight. And we griped and said, look, all we promised was we'd get you there on December 30th. So we said, all right, so what are we doing? Well, here was our itinerary as best I can remember it. We woke up the next morning. We had to get on an airplane, fly from Houston to San Antonio. From San Antonio, we had to get on a plane and fly from San Antonio to Mexico City. From Mexico City, we had to fly to Guadalajara. And then I think from Guadalajara, we finally made it to Cabo San Lucas. So we spent the entire day in the air. Now, I will say we had some layovers. We got to know the tequilas of Mexico pretty well with each of our layovers. But we finally made it to Cabo San Lucas. Got there at like 11:45 at night. Yeah, they made it in a single day, but just barely. We had a rent car. They only had one rent car left. It wasn't really what we wanted. It looked a little junky, but what are you going to do? Beggars can't be choosers, right? Here's the other thing. They just had a typhoon or a monsoon or whatever blow through Cabo San Lucas like 3 days before. That's why that one flight had been canceled. So there was zero communication on the peninsula right then. No phones, nothing. Not really, very little. So it's like, all right, well, hopefully the hotel's still in one piece. And yes, give us this janky car. We'll get there. We start driving to get to Cabo, which is probably an hour or so from the airport. It's a little bit of a ways. We are the only car on the road because it's so late. Everyone's batting down because of the hurricane that came through and all that. We're driving along. All of a sudden, as we're going up because kind of some mountains, hills, and things like that, as we're going up one of these hills, I noticed the car isn't really performing that well. It's kind of stalling on me and just not doing well at all. All of a sudden, the transmission goes out completely. Gone. I can't. I put it in neutral before I roll backwards off the hill. And that's it. We are stuck in the middle of absolute nowhere. with this in the middle of the night, middle of nowhere, with a car that won't work. It's like, yeah, this honeymoon's going to be quite the adventure. Right? Hey, let life start with an adventure. So we do that. I get out of the car to check it out to see if maybe there's something I can do to try to fix the transmission. We didn't have cell phones back then, so I didn't even have a flashlight to shine up, but I'm trying to figure out what's going on with this thing. And all of a sudden, we realize that just around the corner is a construction crew that's working on the roadways. They do it at night because only idiots are on the road at night there, right? And us, or including us. But we see them working on the road about the time they see us on the road. And next thing I know, here comes six construction workers walking towards our car. I don't really know that we knew they were construction workers at the time. That was only a little bit later. We just knew there were guys around the corner that started walking towards us. And so I'm looking at the car. Sharon's in the car. She said, Cliff, there's people that are coming. There's people coming. I said, I know. What am I going to do? I guess let's see what we can do. Sharon's in the car. All of a sudden, I hear all the door locks. Clock, 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 clock. She locked me out of the car, and she sat inside the car with the doors locked while these guys came up. It's like, all right, that's the way it's going to go, right? Fortunately, they were incredibly nice guys. They looked at the car. They said, transmission. I said, yeah, transmission. No bueno. And that was the extent of my Spanish back then. They fiddled with it, couldn't do anything. So finally, they started pointing. They said, cerca, nearby, hotel. And they pointed, and turns out maybe a couple hundred yards down the road was maybe half a mile or so. It was a hotel off on a cliff. And so, oh, gracias, senor. So the waved goodbye. They went back, and that's when we figured out they were road construction crew. I walked back to this hotel, and fortunately, they had a little courtesy vehicle, came, picked Sharon up, took us to this hotel. We arranged for a taxi then to take us to our hotel, called the car rental company the next day and said, yeah, come get this junker because it isn't working. But yeah, that was how our wedding life began, our marriage life. And it's been an adventure all the way through. We got a cool Jeep afterwards because they didn't have any ones that we wanted. I'll tell you what, we'll give you this open top Jeep. Yeah, that'll work. We're good guys. So didn't panic, handled it, and we did all right. But yeah, that was, of all the stories we could tell. Well, we had a fantastic honeymoon. We had so much. We went to Cabo New Year's Eve, our first year as a married couple. First New Year's Eve, we go to Cabo Wabo. We thought that Van Halen maybe was going to be performing there because they said, "Oh, we've got this big special guest." Ooh, what if it's Sammy Hagar or something? How cool is that going to be? It was Iggy Pop, which is cool in a whole different kind of way. I've never been a huge listener of Iggy Pop music, but he put on quite a show that particular Christmas Eve. But yeah, of all the stories we still laugh about 34 years later, her locking me out of the car while we were looking at the transmission was one of the funnier ones. So happy anniversary, Sharon. It's been a wild and crazy 34 years. All right, Dr. Bose. Dr. Bose, how are you doing, my friend? I hope you have a fantastic Christmas. Thank you, as always, for the support. Howdy, Cliff. Happy New Year's. Just want to mention I was born on New Year's Day. Oh, congratulations. It makes me think of a YouTube song or something. Congratulations. The doctor who delivered me was born on New Year's Day. My grandmother was born on New Year's Day. And my great-great-grandmother died on New Year's Day. Well, one of those isn't quite as celebratory as the other one, huh? That's pretty cool. I mean, it is weird how coincidences like that happen sometimes, right? Unless they were aiming for it. Who knows? My daughter was born at 12:05. So yeah, we didn't know what day she's going to be born. Oh, well, congratulations. Hey, if you'd been born just a little bit earlier, you could have been a tax deduction as well. Sharon and I, not as much tax deduction as a birth, but us getting married, getting to file as a married couple instead of single filers probably saved us a few dollars that first year. It's not why we did it. It was cool getting married at Christmas time with all the flowers up and everything else. But well, congratulations, Dr. Bose. I guess that means that you're celebrating a birthday on Wednesday. So happy birthday to you as well, my friend. Hope you have a blast on your special day. Wow, how cool is it that every birthday everyone's celebrating with fireworks and everything else? Dr. Bose's birthday. Gotta make you feel kind of special, right? Of course, everyone stays up late and probably doesn't feel like going out and doing a lot of crazy stuff on January 1st. but you get a lot of bowl games to watch every year as part of your birthday as well, right? Well, happy birthday to you. I appreciate the support as always. Thank you so much. And happy birthday to you, my friend. All right, let's see. Patricia Miller saying, game night, Yahtzee. Love me some Yahtzee. Mexican train domino. We've played a little bit of that. We also play Greenie Weenie, which is kind of a fun domino game. Farkle, I've heard of it, never played it. Uno and Christmasopoly. If it ends in Opoly, that's a good one to be playing. And Lori Kelly is saying, oh, yeah, 42 dominoes in our family for decades. Yeah, oh, Lori, huge 42 fan. For those of you who don't know, 42 is just the national game of Texas. I mean, once upon a time, people played 42 because cards were evil and sinful, and no one could have a deck of cards in the house. We are here in the Bible Belt and all that, but people would have dominoes instead. We played a lot of 42. I learned how to play while I was an Aggie at Texas A&M. We had fun right after I got out of the Big Brother house. Before COVID hit, I was able to go up to College Station and play in a couple of 42 tournaments up at the Dixie Chicken, the big bar up there. God, I stayed out of a lot of trouble by playing 42 because some college kids go off and drink and party and all that. We would go to the Dixie Chicken on a Thursday night and just sit there and play dominoes for hours and hours on end. It's a little bit like spades that you play with cards, maybe a little bit like bridge. You bid on how many points you can catch on a hand, and 4 people play it. You've got a partner across from you, and then you're playing against 2 other people that are on the other team. And yeah, I love me some 42. I begged and begged for them to let us have some dominoes in the Big Brother house. Nowhere. Nah, it didn't even come close to them giving it to me. And I don't know if it's because they were worried about the dominoes clicking together, or the fact that of the 16 of us in there, 15 probably was saying, yeah, I don't really care about dominoes. And there would have been me saying, oh, come on, you got to learn how to play dominoes. But I love me some 42. Play a lot in my life. I'd love to play some more. Fitzbit saying, what was living through Y2K like? It was the most big letdown, but also happy that it was a letdown. They spent the entire year or two up to Y2K talking about how, the clocks at the nuclear power plants, when it hits 1999, when it tries to flip over, it's going to go back to 999 or something. Everyone's buying generators. Everyone's buying flashlights. We just thought every computer was going to turn off. I think, I may be wrong. Someone correct me if I'm wrong, but I think they actually suspended all airline flights for like an hour before and an hour after New Year's across the whole country, just out of fear that if something did happen to flight control or navigation computers, things like that, they didn't want airplanes up in the air. For all I know, this was worldwide. They shut down all the airplane flights. It was that level of concern. And again, nuclear power plants, it was just, people were so convinced. Your banking systems, the bank's going to lose every bit of information. Hold on to all your paper accounting and all that. People going to ATM machines, pulling out extra money just in case they lost access to it. It was that level of fear. And all the people are coming out, the news media, the engineers are saying, nah, we got it fixed. There may be a little here or there, but it's not going to be anything. And we didn't believe them at all, or we're just being extra cautious. And if I recall, when Y2K actually happened, they had maybe a half dozen situations around the entire country where, Edison Power had one substation that something screwed up and went down, and it was back up and running 20 minutes later. Yeah, is that level of stuff. There were some people with personal computers that had some issues, a few here and there, but yeah, it was just the biggest amount of hype. It was interesting. That was kind of a scary New Year's. We had fun the New Year's before because it was turning into 1999. You think you could. But no, what happened there? Lots of Prince playing 1999, celebrate, party, all purple and all that. And then the next year, the world's just going to come to an end. So, yeah, who knows? Of course, back then, we weren't as computer dependent as we are now. What would happen to this country if all the computers just turned off right now? I'd still be out there. I'd still be on the curb doing Cliff Notes live to whoever would listen to me. Yeah, but it would be a little scary. So yeah, I had us worried back then, but turned out not to be anything at all, which is always a good thing to have. I will say it probably was the same level of hype in some ways as COVID, where people just were worried. And back then, it was a little harder to get everything shut down. I mean, y'all know why. Like they shut down everything for a full year. It was that level of fear back then with Y2K in a lot of ways. So it was. I remember it well. And of course, here I am to contribute to the chaos just a little bit by hitting those breakers. Joke would have been on me if I turned those breakers off and then they didn't turn back on when I hit it again. I would have been in the doghouse then if our family was the only one without electricity because of old Joker Cliff out in the garage. Probably wouldn't have liked that too much. All right, Angie is saying, if you like code names, try Decrypto and 50 Clover, So Clover. I remember. If you like Werewolf, try Deception, Murder in Hong Kong. Hong Kong, sorry. All right, I'm gonna write all those down, Angie. I think I've heard of Deception. The others, not as much. My son-in-law is huge into board games and games like that and everything. I typically go to him for assistance with this kind of stuff, but there's a lot of innovative games out there. All right, I'm gonna write all those down, Angie. I appreciate it. Marilyn's saying, I've been watching old seasons of Big Brother, and they had cards and games in the beginning. Crazy how that is. Yeah, they had a lot more latitude back then, and I don't know if it's because they still had the 24-hour feeds. Were they just a lot more boring? Or maybe the Big Brother psychologists didn't realize that they could make you so much more paranoid when you didn't have anything to do. Or maybe when they originally had those cards and stuff, they just spent too much time doing that. I did notice we played a lot of backgammon during my season. And I noticed there for a couple of years afterwards, I think for these past few seasons, they haven't had a backgammon set. They've had a chess set. I would have played chess during my season, except for two things. One, I hated the chessboard. I couldn't tell the bishops, the knights, the pawns, they all looked the same. It was, I don't like where I have to think too hard about which piece is which. But the other part is I felt like chess would give away too much who was the analytical, logistical thinker and who wasn't. I know one time Jackson, Mickey, and I played chess, and we should have both thrown it to each other, but our pride wouldn't let us do it. We both were trying to beat one another. And it's at that time that I realized this guy, he may be kind of a muscle guy and all that, but there's a lot more than just that. He is a very smart guy. He was a brilliant chess player and very analytical. And that's when I realized there's a lot more to Jackson Mickey than I thought. And so, yeah, I remember that. I thought, God, you are such a, of course, I did the same thing. I remember thinking, you're such an idiot for showing me how smart you are. I feel like people maybe already kind of thought that I was okay in that regard, but he played hard. I think he beat me at the end. And I just remember thinking, this guy he's going to handle the memory stuff and all that very well too. So you got to be careful when you're playing those games in the Big Brother house. Of course, I also watched him play solitaire and cheat. So, it's you get all different kinds of games. But you got to be careful because someone's always watching. Someone's always paying attention to this stuff. All right, let's see what else we've got here as we wrap this up. Cindy Heyer saying there's a new movie coming out called Y2K. Well, they kind of missed the boat, didn't they? Now, I'd be curious to see what it's about. I haven't heard about that. We'll see. I got to get my binge of Squid Game in there, and then I may check out some of the horror movies as well. You could do fun with the Y2K, especially. I know this year Civil War came out. Some people criticized Civil War, didn't like it as a movie. I thought it was pretty interesting. The whole idea that you've got, the country's kind of falling apart, the media trying to keep it together and document stuff. I enjoyed that movie. It'd be interesting if you had some other movies like that. I know there's another one coming out that Sharon's mentioned, I think, about an EMP attack. I'm big into the what if kind of scenarios of life and how would you handle it? And maybe it's my survivor side coming out. What if it wasn't just an island in Fiji? What if all of us are trying to survive with nothing but a bag of rice and whatever else may be in your pantry, and a whole lot of other people are hungry and looking for, there's only so many chickens in the world, right? So yeah, I kind of I always liked those books as a kid. Man, I read 1984, some of those dystopian novels. I read The Road by, is it Cormac McCarthy? Never again. That's one of those. I've never watched the movie. I'll never read the book again because that's like a Dementor from Harry Potter. That'll suck your soul away reading that thing. The most depressing book I've ever read. But other than that, I really I love people that are facing just incredibly bad circumstances and trying to survive, which you get in some of those kind of movies and books, and everything. All right, Mark is saying favorite piece in the game of Clue, Miss Scarlet for me. I've always kind of been a Colonel Mustard type of guy. Angie's saying Miss Scarlet for me. I could see that, Angie. If there was such a thing as real life action Clue pieces, I could see it. Kind of a Colonel Mustard, I think. Just walking around with the monocle and it'd be fun. Do y'all remember the movie Clue? I got to shut down. No, we're getting close. The movie Clue came out a while back. It had Tim Curry in it. I think he played the butler, maybe. The butler always did it, right? But I remember Clue came out, and there were 3 different versions of the movie. And depending on what movie theater you went to, there'd be different endings and different people guilty of it. It's kind of a unique way to do a movie back then. And so some people would go see it and it was Colonel Mustard. Other people would go see it and it was Professor Plum or something. Yeah, I remember that. I actually remember watching the movie and some people saying, let's go to another theater and watch it again and see the different ending. And all I remember thinking is, do I really want to sit through an hour and 40 minutes of the same movie, which was okay. I'm a huge fan of Tim Curry, but still just okay. But do I really want to sit through 140 minutes just so I can see a change in the last 10 minutes? Yeah, I don't think so. So I just left other people do that. Now, real quick, paranormal activity. Y'all remember that? I did not realize there were a lot of different endings to Paranormal Activity, alternate endings filmed. I didn't see it here in the United States. I actually bought a DVD of it while I was in Baku, Azerbaijan, and brought it home. And Sharon and I sat there on one scary rainy night and watched Paranormal Activity, which I thought was incredibly scary. I know some people don't. I loved it. I thought it scared the bejesus out of me. We watched that. I didn't realize till a few months later the ending we saw was completely different from the ending everyone else in the United States saw. Because we started talking about the end there. I was like, that's not what happened. Yeah, it's what happened to the one we saw. That's when I found out that some movies have alternate endings. So there you go. All right. Is there anything we missed? I think if so, we'll have to just pick it up in 2025. Let's say so. Yeah, we're gonna shut it down. 7:59. Guys, I'll see y'all next year. I'll see you in a year. You know what you always did in school. I'll see you next year. Yeah, a couple of days, it'll be 2025. So futuristic. 2020 seemed like a future when I was a kid. Now, here we are, 2025. See y'all in 2050, 2075 as well. But yeah, have a fantastic New Year's celebration. Have a safe New Year's. Not just you. You be safe, but also watch out for other people who maybe aren't always being as safe as well. There's a lot of idiots on the roads and elsewhere. Just take care of yourself and take care of your family. Be safe. Have a fantastic New Year's Eve. Have a fantastic New Year's Day. I'm looking forward to 2025. It's going to be a great year. It's going to be that much better having y'all guys with me as we hit the new year. So happy New Year to y'all. SKD 143. Love my wife, love my kids, love reality TV, love you guys, and I love 2025. That's a long ways down the road. Love me some 2025. Nothing against you 2024, but I'm ready to bid adieu to you and move on to the next year. Y'all have a great one. If you haven't already done so, thumbs up, subscribe, turn on the little notifications, all that cool stuff. I will be back next Monday. Let me know what you did crazy. Assuming Y2K doesn't hit 24, 25 years late, then we'll be back Monday and we'll talk about our stories then. Till then, guys, have a great one. SKD 143. Cheers, my friends. Bye. And happy New